Lesson 19, Section 3. Homeric Greek. As you know, Attic Greek is only one dialect of Classical Greek. Other important dialects include Aeolic, Doric, and Ionic. Homeric Greek is a mix of Greek dialects, perhaps for merely metrical purposes. In Homeric Greek, you will frequently see genitive singular nouns of the second declension end in oia instead of the usual ou. This is known as the Mycenaean genitive. For example, habeas, life, way of life. In the genitive, normally we would see tu biu. However, in Homeric Greek, we might see tu bioia. Tu bioia. The form of the definite article isn't going to change, but the form of the second declension noun in the genitive singular might. And again, whether you would see biu or bioia would depend a lot on the meter that was required. Non-contraction. In Attic Greek, word forms are often contracted in order to prevent hiatus. We've seen this in several different cases. We've seen this with contracted adjectives, krouseos, for instance. We've seen this with contracted verbs like poiein, the infinitive of poieo, that gets contracted to poiein. We've also seen it with the Attic declension in general. But in other dialects, this contraction does not occur. In Homeric Greek, in particular, you will often see the uncontracted forms of these words. This even goes for words we would not normally, that we're not even aware are contracted. For instance, poule, he, this is the word for gate. In the genitive plural, this is going to look like poulon. And we discussed this briefly, but this is actually a contraction throughout really most Greek dialects of alpha and omega. It's one of the reasons we see the accent move toward the back of the word as we do. So the Homeric Greek form of this is actually going to revert back to the uncontracted form, which is poulaon. So this is something you might see to mean of gates rather than the normal poulon. And that's going to be confusing if you keep your eye on the last couple letters. It will be less so. The Ionic eta. In the Ionic dialect of Greek, many words that are spelled with an alpha in Attic Greek are spelled with an eta. The reason this is significant in talking about Homeric Greek is that Homer often used the Ionic eta. For example, this is seen even when the eta is preceded by a rho, epsilon, or iota. Usually in Attic Greek, we don't see the eta after one of these three letters in, say, a feminine noun of the first declension. I'm thinking of, for instance, prosopia. We see that alpha after the iota at the end because that was what was required of the sound. But in Ionic, we might see something else. For instance, neanias, young man, an important noun of the first declension, a masculine noun of the first declension. It is going to look a little different in Ionic and potentially Homeric Greek. Those alphas are going to be replaced with etas, neenies. It's going to be pronounced differently and it's going to look differently. It may or may not scan differently, but this is something we may be seeing. For further reading, you can take a look at some features of Homeric Greek in your grammar book. Thank you very much.